What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome back. It's your boy Verdict, and I'm happy to bring you this, what is Wednesday? It's a Wednesday video, yes, of course. Now, before we even jump into anything, I want you guys to do me one favor. It's not liking and subscribing this video. No, please, actually, go ahead, and if you could, please check out my Twitch, because I've moved all the live streaming that we do usually on this channel all the way to that platform, and it's been working out great. It's been working out phenomenally, but I want to get you guys out there as fast as possible. So with that being said, if you could do that for me, it would really mean a lot. Now for today's video, Awakening Maegu. Yes, it's been the topic of this channel for a long while already. I've been loving the class ever since she came out, and with all honesty, I've been fighting against her to become my main. It happened so naturally. I didn't aim for it. It just simply occurred. I've usually done this already in a sense, like I've at least alluded to what Awakening Maegu's issues are. I've spoken about, did she fail, did she not fail? Like for the 50 hours of Awakening Maegu, watch this before you actually play it. It's become one of my most famous videos, which I'm very, very happy about, by the way. Thank you so much for watching that. And in reality, I've known Maegu so much more since then, to the point where I really know what her issues right now are, both in PvP and in PvE. And this video here will be dedicated entirely towards the feedback that Pearl Abyss have requested over their Global Labs post. They said that give us your feedback, put it out there, we'll watch it, and call me delusional if you'd like. I don't believe that they will be checking this video, but I'd rather have my feedback out there instead of just simply holding it for myself and talking about it on stream where nobody would look for it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say a huge thanks for you guys coming out here. Hope I earn your subscription by the end of the video, and let's get into it. Alright, it's always good to start a video with the elephant in the room. And that, of course, for Awakening Maegu is her 2 passives. Is it a 1 passive? What is it? How does it work? Well, we still don't know. And there are people that say that they do know, but in reality, let's be honest, barely anybody really has a good idea on why things are occurring the way they are. There's so many things about Awakening Maegu's passive that don't make sense, so many things that are occurring never described in the passive, and we're not really understanding why these things are happening. It's more or less we're coping that they're happening. We don't know exactly the rule set of it all. We just know that we can abuse. Is the bug? Is it not a bug? And let's get into it. So now the Spirit Forge passive, in reality, and somebody that likes history is probably going to laugh with me on this one, is it's like German engineering back in the past century. It's incredibly complicated for the sakes of it being incredibly complicated and saying, hey, look at how hard we made this. But the thing with that is, yes, it's prestigious, but once it faults, it's hard to fix. In fact, it's so hard to fix, and to the point where if it becomes faulty, you might as well just scrap it and make a new one. This is one of the things about MMOs in general and very complicated designs of classes that I'm pretty sure Pearl Abyss either don't understand or they neglect. If something on the chain breaks, you have to rework the entire thing in order for it to kind of function. Now, that little rant aside, the Spirit Forge passive needs a description. I've been talking about this since the day 1 video of Awakening Maegu. We cannot be put in the position where we will guess what the Spirit Forges do. Let's move away from the Spirit Forge passive. I think I've spent way too much time talking about that. If we look into Awakening Maegu's entire kit, especially for the PvP perspective, I've been playing Awakening Maegu in Node Wars right now, Tier 3 Node Wars, predominantly Tier 3 Node Wars. I've been really enjoying her, and I really have been capable of fragging somewhat with her. She's kind of like a rat class, frag class, even though she's not meant to be played like that. It's the only way where she could function. And in reality, I've found that she's incredibly inconsistent with the way she is supposed to execute her opponents. So think of it like this. You are going inside these huge numbers of players with this somewhat of an elusive character, and you're hoping somebody drops on the ground. But if somebody drops on the ground, it's very hard to kill them because, well, the damage is not there on your protected ability. So in reality, she's a class that wants a little bit more isolated PvP style, such as, 1v1s, perhaps at best 2v1s, so on and so forth. But this is when she kind of still lacks, because she's a class that is incredibly punished by grabs, and I really mean it. She is punished like crazy with grabs. Now, I don't want to open too much big of a topic on PvP. I would love to see this class be introduced to some consistency of her floats. So far, we have one of the most broken abilities to fish for. If you know the class's gaps in their protections, if you really learn that, then our F key, Fox Flare Ambush, is arguably busted and ready for nerf. But afterwards, what you can do with her damage is not that much. So even though she gets you on the ground, if you're a DR class, she might fail in killing you. If you're some class that has a little bit of resistance, she might fail killing you. She really depends onto the knockdown, onto the floats. She will probably fail killing you. And in reality, she is, as I said, inconsistent in the way she combos, inconsistent in the way she's trying to execute her targets. Now, let's put PvP aside. She is, in my opinion, fine, but she can be better. So let's talk a little bit about PvE. In general, Awakening Maegu's damage compared to Succession Maegu's damage really revolves around one simple concept, one simple rule set. If you want single target DPS, then Awakening Maegu will be better than Succession. If you want AoE type of farming, then obviously Succession is going to blow her out of the park. It's not even the fair conversation. So once we have this kind of put out there, you kind of understand what is the purpose of Awakening Maegu in general. So if you look into spots like Gyphon Underground, she performs better than Succession. If you look at spots like Cyclops Land, she performs better than Succession. All of these spots that are kind of stationary, that are kind of just calling for back attacks damage, is when you will see more Awakening Maegu than Succession Maegu. And granted, Succession Maegu is nerfed. We know it happened. I've called that it would happen. I just kind of mad that they just didn't reduce her AoEs instead of nerfing her 7 times before. Oh shit, Verdict talked about it. Let's do it the way he says. Just a little bit of a pat on the shoulder, I guess. But now let's talk about Awakening Maegu. So I love it. I love every single bit of it. As faulty as it is, as weird as it is, I love it, and I wouldn't change really that much on it. However, Awakening Maegu has an issue. She has no buffs on her that would really give her this geometric growth. There are no buffs on her that would really scale her up as good as, for example, other specializations have. We have an issue over here with this. We sacrificed our attack speed for critical hit damage, and that's obvious from the passive. Unfortunately, Awakening Maegu feels so much better with her Z buff because the Z buff gives her AP and it gives her the attack speed that she doesn't have. So in reality, while we are in our Z buff, you would notice how the class and specialization works so much better. It's not viable, it's almost approaching optimal performance. And that's one of the very interesting things about a class that has no attack speed buff. There are a few of them out there that really like benefiting from these attack speed buffs. But in reality, Awakening Maegu is not Awakening Maegu is not made, in my eyes, to not be played without an attack speed buff. It almost feels like she needs to have one of this naturally. So aside of the attack speed buff that we don't have, I would love to see perhaps a 10%, perhaps a 15%, if Pearl Abyss are actually generous. I don't know, do it like Lan, 18% for an example. But in reality, it really boils down to a conversation that I had with you guys about Succession Lan some time ago. Succession Lan was this, and Awakening Lan also, they feel the same way as an Awakening Maegu. If you have your Z buff up and running and you don't have Death Blow, then the critical hit rate of it will literally make you just feel like an optimal class. If you have a Death Blow and then you can do the trades, then you can just switch to the attack speed proportions, then you can switch to the different add-ons. All of these things matter. And for Awakening Maegu, we can take care of the critical hit rate, but unfortunately there is no way to take care of the attack speed. So much so, in fact, that I actually play with double Olucas for the human damage crystals just because of the attack speed, and they've been proven really, really good so far. So an attack speed buff is definitely needed. So let's talk about the evasion slash accuracy issue of the class. So Awakening Maegu, man, like it was such a blow, it was such a spit in the face when they gave us a -6% evasion debuff on Foxflare Retreat. It was like oh, you don't have a debuff? Well, there you go. We're gonna give you a debuff, but it's gonna cost you 25% of your Black Spirit Rage. That is just sorry to say, but that's just a dick move. Talking a little bit about her itemization, I'm going to really talk back about my experience with Succession Lan and Lan in general. It's how a class is made to build for evasion, but it's not being built with evasion. You know, it's one of these things where obviously the class, the developer is like pushing for a narrative, but then the player base is like, nope, we know better than you. We will just ignore that narrative and we will just kill people very, very fast. And this is the same thing happening with Awakening Maegu. Awakening Maegu is a class that she has an evasion buff. She has an evasion passive that is pretty much stacked. It's a 5%, and both of these work. She's not a gauntlet. She has very high base evasion, but in reality, you just don't want to go evasion because you don't have the damage with Awakening Maegu. So you would see how the community would just simply play her as a rat class instead of something that can be seen as, oh, look at this very high evasion target. She's moving amongst everybody and she's doing CCs and she's kind of fishing for people. She just is not played like that. You just can't play. She's not as protected for her to play like that. She just lacks the accuracy in PvP in order for her to play like that. And in general, I don't think this is the right way to approach such a class. With that being said, just to give it an entire kind of like what we did, just summarize what we spoke about. I really want to see Awakening Maegu Spirit Forge passive explained properly by the developer instead of us having to guess whether or not what we do is correct and why are things working the way pretty much we see them working. Well, they're not described for them to work as such. So I want to see this passive and both of the passive just finally explained for F's sake. Like, it's just so annoying. The next thing, I really want to see her PvP more consistent in terms of the float aspect of it. She is a float class that doesn't work well with the floats. It could be a little bit of a skill issue, I do not know, but so far it seems like this. The second thing, the attack speed buff over in PvE. It's so mandatory that we get an attack speed buff. It's out of this world. Some people might say, yes, Verdict, you can get an attack speed buff, but this will pretty much burn your cooldowns. And I'm here to say the following. The attack speed buff is overlapped by the Z buff. So if with a Z buff I do not run out of cooldowns, if I play properly and a little bit in a prolonged fashion, right, then I don't see this ever being an issue. I really don't. Last but not least, the evasion itemization, the evasion debuffing or accuracy. I'm not sure if we will ever get this addressed, but in reality, if they address this, it's going to be a little bit of a far too big of a change, if I could say so. And yep. So far, with the upcoming buffs to all classes, I hope they address Maegu very well. They will buff her damage, that is for sure. They will be doing some things on her, that is for sure. What? Well, we will see. I did hope I earned your subscription, guys. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have up until now, I hope to see you on Twitch, and I really mean that. And yeah, thank you for giving me a job. Love you guys.